Happy New Year to all my friends. 2020. It is nice to be alive and to wish you all a Happy New Year, all my friends out there. And looking forward to a prosperous one. And today, the first time I'm coming live this year to talk about still the same issues that don't seem to go away, about the things that we follow every day. Today, the Uganda Premier League began again in earnest. 2 games, I think, were played. One was played in Bombo, and the other one was played between URA and Villa, played in Bombo, and the other one didn't take place. The one that I think was played in Fort Portal did not take place. So the thing is, how do we get our football professional with unserious people, with people who seem not to really understand what this game is all about, what this game means to the population, what this game means to individuals, what it means to homes, what it means to villages, what it means to the general public. The other day I posted something about the game that was played in Dar es Salaam, where there were almost 54,000 spectators in a derby. And many people asking what happened to our game. Of course, these are the things that happened to our game. First of all and foremost, how does a game take place when everybody involved knows that actually only 10 players were licensed to play the game? Seriously, how does UPL, the people in charge of the Premier League, allow such a game to even go on? That game should never have gone on in the first place. It should have been called off. Professional ethics. Because if the game cannot present 11 players each side, well, the game says that when you have 7 players, you can play. But professionally, that's not acceptable. In a village game, yes, we can still go on and say 7 players can play for as long as they have licenses. But how can a professional game, the top level game, be allowed to go on with a team having only 7 licensed players? Onduparaka had only 7 licensed players. And Fort Portal, Toro FC had, I think, only 4 or 5. But referees were sent to the game. Seriously, referees were sent to the game. And that game was supposed to go on with everybody in a know that actually these teams didn't have players to play. So how unserious is that? So what is the effect on all of this? See, people out there, there are people who always want to talk small talk about football. How does this affect the game? Because imagine the people in Fort Portal. If Toro had sold tickets, Toro sells tickets to people. People have paid to watch a game. The game is not taking place. And of course, the person running the league doesn't care whether those people in Fort Portal are affected or not. What about the businesses in Fort Portal? What about the sponsor of the league? What about the things that want to bring into football that we cannot bring just because of ineptness of some people? You are sure these people, because from Fofa House in Madame Aisha's office, they were sure that these teams didn't have players. But FUFA went ahead and sent referees to the game to be played. Of course, not even, before we even touch on the letter that the Fort Portal players had actually sent to FUFA. And I was saying that this stupidity, how long can it go on? We are very sure that these clubs cannot afford to pay these players. We are very sure. And the reason we are talking about that is because people don't want to talk about it, that we have mismanaged this game to the level that these clubs cannot sustain themselves, because those individuals who are there to create wealth for themselves and not create wealth for the general footballing industry. Because players are writing to FUFA to inform them that they were not paid. But that one we shall touch a bit later. But now the professionalism in this thing. The sponsor is affected. Bad publicity. A game does not take place. A professional elite game does not take place. It's not taking place because the teams don't have players. And yet these teams had players in first round. Onduparaka had a full squad in first round licensed, whether provisionally or unprovisionally. So what happens thereafter? If this team has no players, why is this game sanctioned? Because it has far-reaching consequences, which are not just about removing the game. Because Onduparaka, imagine Onduparaka traveled from Arua to Fort Portal and the game is not played in Fort Portal. What about the expenses of the team Onduparaka? Secondly, if the organizer, UPL, knew that these teams had no players registered, why was this game not put off? Put it off. Because you're sure this team doesn't have players. Okay? But how long is this going to go on? How long is this going to go on where we have teams that don't have players and the registration is being held up? I mean, when do we find solutions to such things? You imagine, like I said, the referees were actually sent to the game. The federation sent referees to a game where they were sure that the teams had no licensed players. So what game was going to take place? So if we need professionalism, we have to start by getting serious people to man these things. If a game has to be played, it has to be played in a professional setting, because there are so many things that are involved in these things. Whether locally, local in Fort Portal, there was a man probably who made his chapatis, 100 of them, and was going to sell them during the game. He makes a loss. There's a person who, the club printed tickets, they make the loss. The person who bought the ticket to enter the field and watch that circus makes a loss. So how do you expect this game to grow? So if Fort Portal is hosting another game, what are the chances that the people will even come to the game? That is how they kill the morale of the people. And then we ask ourselves, why aren't people watching football? Why is Tanzania having 53,000 people in a stadium and Uganda cannot have 1,000? That is what happens because we are not serious about this thing. The seriousness is at the level of people being there. Now you see some of the officials taking photographs in Rome, Paris, where, and yet the game itself is actually suffering. It's suffering seriously because of that kind of the inefficiencies. Then, of course, you send referees to the game. They have not been paid. The whole of first round, referees have not been paid. Of course, somebody's going to come out and say, no, the coach is having fights. But it's true. They have not been paid. The whole of first round, they have not been paid. But second round has begun, and you have sent them to officiate the game. Then after that, we shall ask, why are they officiating badly? Who has paid them? How are they managing to go to these places? Why are you causing them to be in trouble with club? Because now the club officials will now start paying the referees. And then after that, the results, we shall be crying over the results. Oh, this is happening, oh, this is happening, oh, this is happening. So we need to improve this thing. Because for as long as we have no sanity in this game, and it's not making any sense, then we are killing the game. We are definitely burying the game. Because somebody is very sure the teams don't have licenses to play, they're not allowed to appear in a game, but you actually sanction the game. And then the other game between URA and Villa has 4 players who are not allowed to play. Now, it kills the competition. Now, Villa doesn't field a strong team to face URA. URA wins the game 2-0. Now, what about the Villa fans who traveled to see their team? What are you trying to do? Why are you trying to kill the morale of the fans? Because if a team does not present its best team, then that is no competition at all. The competition we're supposed to see is teams presenting their best players. If the player is injured, then we say, yes, the player is injured, so he couldn't play. But you have a situation where players are not played because they just don't have licenses. No, that means teams present weak teams in a professional setting. Teams do not present 4 players. Of course, Fort Portal had its own problems. Toro had its own problems of players absconding from the team. But Onduparaka had 7 on the field. How do you say the game was played with 7 players? Realistically. So when we come out to talk about these things of professionalizing the league, we want this league to be to present an opportunity to everybody. This league should present an opportunity to everybody. It's not just the people running the federation, because the people running the federation are okay. Probably the funds they're using funds from the from FIFA, they are being paid. They're okay, but the players, now the players of Fort Portal are not paid. Now, when they could have been paid even through the gate collection, the game does not even take place, because at least the Fort Portal players would have said, okay, let's play this game because we're going to make money through the games. Maybe they'll give us an allowance. But even then, the game doesn't even take place. But of course, now we go back to the other thing. These clubs, they have been so marginalized that they cannot even make money. They cannot even make money for themselves, because you have curtailed all their avenues. You brought a sham television deal, threw it on them, gave them 50 million a year, and 50 million cannot even run a club for a month or two. And then you're there putting rules and regulations, professionalize the game. People don't think that rules and regulations are the ones that people feed on. No, people feed about the game. Let us make the rules and regulations, but make it attainable for people to attain the things. And I've publicly talked about the thing with the licensing people, Madame Aisha, and I've asked, I mean, you are seriously sticking to this thing. But guess what? You let them play, then you stop them from playing. You let them play, then you stop them from playing. When is this going to stop? If somebody doesn't have a license, don't give him a license from word go. Let the team start or be thrown out of the league to know that this team does not. But do you have even the moral authority to throw the team out of the league? Because other people have done even worse things, have registered players through in funny ways, but registered the players, then they have played, then later on you find out that actually that player was not even supposed to play, but the teams are not even punished, and we know all these things. But nevertheless, how do we go from that level? How do we go from that level of being very unprofessional, very unethical, and actually outright stupid? Because all of us in football, we look stupid. We do things in a stupid way, and we leave them to be normalized. Like today, we are trying to say that the game that did not take place, no, it will take place another day, or they will say that the team that had more players, 7, on Duparaka, will take the points. Is that what the game was all about? People wanted to see these people play the game. It was not about who takes the points. The economy runs about this game actually being played. When this game is played, it means a lot to everybody who is involved in the game. Because the teams will establish themselves. The fans will get the value for their money. The people who are selling popcorn, will make money. Probably the council will get some revenue from the stadium. I mean, everybody is there to benefit from this game, but the game is actually not played. And then you're trying to say, oh, we're professionalizing the game, so you professionalize it by it not being played. That's how you professionalize the game, by it not actually being played. Because that's what will happen. Then the other team presents a team that is weak. Yeah? Because Villa presents a very weak side, which was not very good. Yeah? Villa should have presented a full squad so that people who watched Villa against Jordan, that was an A game. Yeah? An A game. I mean, to put it in context, you're probably going to watch a game between, let's say, Arsenal and United. And then Manchester United cannot present Rashford because probably Rashford's passport, something happened to Rashford's passport, and then there are 4 of them who are not there. What happens? I mean, how come those people can do those things and us we cannot do them? There's no science behind it. It is only that we are trying to become a bit too clever for ourselves. Yeah? We are becoming too clever for ourselves to the extent that we curtail everything. So, if you don't pay referees, like they have not been paid, and I of course they'll come out and say, oh, we paid them. You have not paid these referees. You have not paid them because, like I said, one day I am going to open up my inbox and you see how many of these referees are in my inbox. You have not paid them. So you have not paid the referees, but yet you got the money from the sponsor. The money from the sponsor was gotten, but you didn't pay the referees. Now, after not paying the referees, then Then of course they have players. Now, if referees are not paid and you have the money, then how do you expect? Now, the letter was written to FUFA. Now, there was a letter that was written to FUFA by Toro players. Actually, I laughed and I said, this stupidity. This is absolute stupidity. Because these players don't even know that the reason they're not being paid, actually, it is that federation they're writing to. Is the reason that this team cannot pay them. Because the federation has done everything possible to cripple these teams. Yeah? The club owners have run away. Mr. Smart ran away from the club, handed it over to another one has handed it over to another one, because it's untenable. It's untenable. That's the same thing that's happened to Onduparaka. The same thing. Onduparaka even has funds, but they're having problems. Oh, their players are running away, the coaches are leaving. Why? Because of the financial situations that you have. Because I'll talk about this because I was in Onduparaka when, for example, Betway left. When Betway was leaving, there was another company from Tanzania which was willing to sink money in them. But because it was, in quotes, a rival to this other one that is telecasting, so they couldn't. So now, Onduparaka couldn't get that money, and yet this team could not give, this television could not give as much money as the other ones were even offering to get. And of course, remember that when the other Tanzanian television was telecasting, these were business sponsoring KCC and Villa. But now, when the roles were reversed, these ones could not allow these ones. So this other team had to fall into serious trouble. So you can see, money is lost in the game. Why? Because people don't care. People sitting for, they just don't care. For them, as long as they are called historicals and what, historical manager, historical president, that is it. The teams suffer. Onduparaka is suffering. Toro is suffering. Now, that leaves the KCC of this world to become dominant. KCC has money from the institution. KCC has the money, a lot of money from the sponsor. KCC is sponsored by by StarTimes, about almost 200 million. Yet StarTimes is giving 150. What does that mean? If KCC doesn't win that title, really, if KCC surely should be winning and should win everything, because you get more money than everybody, because the sponsor of the league is actually your official sponsor. So how do you professionalize the league and you're killing every small entity? You don't allow these people to work, because Onduparaka had the power to attract Azam TV back into Uganda as a single team. That's the power that Onduparaka had. But Onduparaka could not, because somebody is saying, no, we have signed a deal with these guys for 10 years without even consulting people. For 10 years, you tie people's hands. Now, the Toros are suffering from it. And why the Toros are suffering is because of people not being astute enough to stand up and say, look here, you can't do this. Because if the people like Mr. Smart had stood up and said, and ganged up, because you have to gang up against these people, because it borders to criminality. Because if you cannot allow people to earn and survive, then you are almost a criminal. What are you expecting these people to live by? Yeah, you don't pay the referees. You make sure the players are not paid. You make sure the coaches are not paid. You make sure actually everybody does not earn from this game. Then you go around telling everybody, oh, the national team, oh yeah, the national team has qualified for AFCON. And I've told you, that national team cannot feed the 1 million football players who are playing in Uganda. Yeah? The 1 million football players have to depend from their team. You, who is running the national team of Uganda, is getting money from the coffers of government. So you're comfortable. You're just comfortable. So, and then you don't even pay salaries of these players. So you just pick 18, then when the government gives you give them. Then these people will never get to the national team, who have to depend on their clubs, will suffer. Toro is suffering. Onduparaka is suffering. I mean, you go all to these other clubs. You need to talk to them individually, because those ones who have not yet come out, others are going to come out and say the same thing. But guess what? The money is there to be made, but you are stopping people from making this money. You're stopping people from making this money. You're stopping people from having a discussion about football. The discussion should be about football. The stakeholders should have a discussion about football. There should not be this one man who thinks that he knows everything. If you talk about marketing, he'll talk about marketing. If you talk about professionalism, he will talk about professionalism. If you talk about referees, you talk about, he will talk about almost everything. Who is this person who knows it all? Football should be a discussion of the stakeholders, all of us, to discuss about this game, because this game is what is going to make people survive. That's what people are surviving on in other countries around the world. Football is making money for the owners, football is making money for the coaches, football is making money for everybody. But as we make sure that it doesn't make money for the other people. And this is where my problem lies. For people who are in this sport, because coaches are not being paid. And not because the owners of the club don't want to pay them. No. It is because they don't have the financial muscle to do so. The federation will come up and say, we need contracts for everybody. And of course, these poor fellows go on and contract these people. They'll go out and contract them. But after contracting them, they don't have the backup. Where are you going to get the money to pay the people you have contracted? Because it is a law and regulation to contract. But the person putting the laws and regulation for contraction, is he thinking about the other way? Where are these people collecting the money to pay the people they're contracting? Where are they running a fraud? Because the federation is running a fraud. They are forcing people to contract players, coaches, well knowing they don't have the financial muscle to do so. Because they have tied their hands. They have tied their hands. They have done a personal business. They're doing personal business, and they're not allowing the real stakeholders to partake in the business. Then, even the ones they need to pay, like the referees, they have not paid them. For the whole of first round, they didn't pay them. But somebody will smartly go on air and be exuberant, speak nicely, offend people to say that they don't know how to speak English on national television, as though that is the what? The gist of the story. The gist of the matter is this. How do you make this money? How do you make money for football? When he's talking about football, for him he's talking about the national team. Actually, he rarely talks about the game on the ground. The game if the Premier League cannot offer these niceties to players, then what about the big league? I shudder to wonder what happens in the big league. Personally, I've been in the big league for, I think I played in the big league for many years. I was coaching a team that played in the big league many years. So I know what happens in these big league sides. They have promised them, I think, a sponsor. From the very first edition, 2010, we were promised a sponsor. The sponsor is coming on board. 2010, this is a new decade. We went a whole 10 years waiting for a sponsor of the big league. Whenever somebody new comes in, they say, we have got, even big league is going to be given. I wonder what big league is given. Because I was in big league for some years, I did not see any money trickling down to the big league. Then somebody comes and gives out 2 balls and shakes hands to everybody, and they say, oh man, this is the best thing that has ever happened to football. So, if we do not improve the seriousness of the way we handle this football thing, if we do not question the people who are purportedly leading the federation, we are in trouble. The team owners have to stand up and be counted, because they are the ones who are causing all this, because the team owners are allowing somebody at the federation to mismanage football. They need to come up, the biggest stakeholders, because they are 16. Like he was trying to explain the other day that football belongs to these people. So since football belongs to them, the 16 people should stand up, come out, and take charge of this sport, because they need to earn from it. Otherwise, if we remain with these institutional clubs don't care. KCC does not care, URA does not care, Maroons may not care, police will not care, for as long as the money is coming from the what. Now, these other teams that are running privately, the real football clubs, the community teams, have to stand up and be counted to make sure that this game is pushed a direction where it can earn money for everybody. Because once the teams do well, even the other people in football will do well. So, Professional and okay, somebody here is saying Jenny, professional and unseriousness in the same sentence. Yeah, that is Ugandan football for you. So have a blessed week and Happy New Year. Hopefully we can have more discussions about football, because we need to take football to a level that is respectable, that can make sense. We have a new minister. I hope the new minister will also be interested in trying to make this industry an industry that earns people money, that also earns government money, rather than it being a playground for an individual or a few individuals out there. Have a blessed week.